Drawing Together, written by Mimi Thebo. Read to you by Miss Keating. It was Lucy's first day at Hargraves Juniors. She didn't know anything, and she didn't know anyone, except for Harriet. Lucy looked around. Mum had said that in summer girls would wear red checkered dresses or blue checkered dresses. Lucy was wearing a red checkered dress. All the other girls were wearing blue checkered dresses. A teacher came to the door and blew a whistle. Everyone else lined up neatly. Lucy had to be pushed into place by some older girls. Harriet laughed. It was better when they were in the classroom. Mrs. McAfee said nice things about Lucy's drawing. Lucy pointed to India on a map. But then came lunch, and Lucy sat alone. Harriet had lots of girls at her table, but Harriet didn't ask Lucy to sit with her, and Lucy didn't want to sit with Harriet anyway. After lunch was playtime. The boys played football, the girls did skipping. Lucy went over to where the girls were skipping. A girl with a nice smile asked if she'd like a turn, but Harriet said loudly, "Lucy can't skip." So Lucy walked away. The bit of the playground under the trees had paving stones. Lucy was looking down at the paving stones when Mrs. McAfee came over. Mrs. McAfee had brought Lucy a wooden box full of coloured chalks. "Here," Mrs. McAfee said. "You can use these if you want." First, Lucy drew a giraffe with a long yellow neck and big brown eyes. Then she drew a golden lion with a fluffy orange mane. When she had finished the line, it seemed to look at her. It even seemed to speak. But the bell rang, and Lucy couldn't hear what it said. Lucy wasn't the only one not playing. Two of the new boys didn't play football. Zach had terrible asthma, and Ibrahim got too hot. They sat on the bench all lunchtime. Zach sat on one end. Ibrahim sat on the other end. They didn't talk to each other, but they both watched Lucy drawing. Lucy hadn't noticed them. The next playtime, Lucy drew again. Ibrahim and Zach sat on the bench very close by. They watched again. Lucy drew a brown monkey with stone-coloured face and hands. "That's very good," the lion said. Lucy looked at Ibrahim and Zach. Then she said very quietly to the lion, "Thank you." "No," the monkey said. "Thank you. What a lovely day. I like it here. I can see all the way up in this tree." The boys on the bench didn't seem to have heard. Very quietly, Lucy said, "I'm glad you like it." Then the bell rang. The third day, Lucy drew a long yellow snake. The tail went almost under Ibrahim and Zach's bench. The snake had a thick neck, big black eyes, and a pointed mouth. The pointed mouth screamed when Lucy put down her chalk. "Ah!" it said, "it hurts, it hurts." Out loud, Lucy asked the lion, "What's wrong with him?" She had forgotten about Ibrahim and Zach. "If that's a python," Ibrahim said, "it should be greener. Pythons that are only that yellow when they're poorly," explained the lion. "Oh no," Lucy said. "There isn't time to colour in green." Ibrahim got down off the bench. "I'll help," he said. "You can break the chalk in two." "Break it in three," Zach said. "I'll help too." Lucy did the head, Ibrahim did the tail, and Zach did the middle bit. They finished just as the bell went. "Ah," the snake said, "that's better. Tell the boys I'm very glad they helped." Lucy was putting the chalks away. She said, "Thanks so much for helping." "You're welcome," Ibrahim said. Zach only smiled. But as they lined up, Zach whispered to Lucy, "What are we going to draw tomorrow?" It was Lucy's second week at Hargraves Juniors. For the first week, all the girls had worn blue checkered dresses. Lucy had been the only one in red. But Lucy's mum had gone shopping, and now Lucy wore a blue checkered dress. All the other girls wore red checkered dresses. Harriet thought it was very funny. At lunchtime, she laughed at Lucy. Lucy was sitting with Ibrahim and Zach. Ibrahim had a huge lunch with lots of sweets and pastries. His mum was a baker. He shared the sweets with Lucy and Zach. Lucy took a bright green ball and bit into it. It was the sweetest thing she'd ever eaten. It made chocolate seem savoury. Zach couldn't eat any because it might have nuts in it. That morning, Mrs. McAfee told them about Noah's Ark. All of the animals had been 2 by 2. When they went out to play, they looked at the animals they'd drawn last week. There was a giraffe, a lion, a monkey, and a snake that Lucy had done on her own. And then there was a very large elephant that they'd all done together. Zack said, "There ought to be 2 by 2. "That's a good idea," Lucy said. "Me first," all the animals shouted. "We should do the giraffe first. It's a herd animal," Ibrahim said. The giraffe smiled. "I think I'll do a lady lion," Lucy said. Ibrahim was already working on the giraffe. Zack thought the monkey was too hard. He thought he could do an elephant on his own if it was little. They worked all through playtime. The next morning the weather was cool. On cool summer mornings, students could wear the school blazer or a school cardigan. Lucy wore the blazer. Everyone else was wearing the cardigan. Everyone except Ibrahim and Zack. They hadn't talked about it. It just happened. Ibrahim couldn't find a cardigan to fit him. Wool made Zack itch, and Lucy's mum thought blazers were smarter. During morning lessons, Mrs. McAfee said it was nice to see girls and boys playing together. She said she would like some girls to try football this playtime and some boys to try skipping. After lunch, there was a lot of giggling at the other end of the playground, but Lucy and Zack and Ibrahim didn't notice. They were working on making all the animals 2 by 2. Lucy had finished her lady lion and was working on another monkey. Zack was helping, and Ibrahim was doing a lady elephant. He hadn't seen Zack's small elephant in the shade. By the time Zack noticed, it was too late. They had 3 elephants. "We could rub yours out," Ibrahim said. "Oh no, my baby!" the lady elephant cried. "We can't do that," Lucy said. They were about to get cross. Just then the snake shouted, "Look out!" They all looked. A ball was coming very fast, right for Zack's head. Lucy pulled Zack's arm hard. Zack fell into Ibrahim. The ball went into the shrubs. Harriet came after it. She looked hot and sweaty. "Oh, sorry," she said. But she wasn't. She got the ball. Then, as she walked by, she kicked the wooden box of chalks. Chalks went everywhere. The 3 friends had to work fast. They had to get all the chalks back into the box before the bell rang. But the animals helped. "I have a brown one on my finger," the monkey shouted. "I can see the red in the roots of the tree," the lion said. The boys didn't answer the animals, and even though Ibrahim got the brown chalk and Zack got the red chalk, Lucy wasn't sure they'd heard. But as the bell rang, she saw Zack pat the snake's head. "Thanks," he whispered. In the 3rd week, everyone had a best friend. Lucy didn't know how it happened. On Friday, no one had a best friend, but by Monday, everyone did. Harriet's best friend was Mandy. Mrs. McAfee let them sit together for lessons. They ate lunch together. They played together at playtime. All the girls had best friends. All the boys had best mates too. Only 3 people didn't have a best friend: Lucy, Zack, and Ibrahim. At playtime, they drew a lady snake. They didn't talk much. They were all thinking about the best friend problem. Lucy thought if she had to have a best friend, it should be Ibrahim. Ibrahim knew so much about animals. Ibrahim thought that if he had to have a best mate, it should be Zack. At least Zack was a boy. Zack thought that if he had to have a best mate, it should be Lucy. Lucy was so much fun. As they made the last marks with their chalk, the snake spoke. He said, "Thank you for my friend. She is beautiful." "Ooh," the new lady snake said. "Cheeky." Lucy, Zack, and Ibrahim looked at each other and laughed. Then the bell rang. The next day, Lucy brought Ibrahim a videotape. It was a program on pythons from the Discovery Channel. Ibrahim didn't get the Discovery Channel. Lucy tried to ask Ibrahim to be her best friend, but Ibrahim wasn't listening. Ibrahim was getting a little white paper box out of his bag, and he gave it to Zack. He said, "My mum made these specially. No nuts at all. No nut traces." Ibrahim tried to ask Zack to be his best friend, but Zack wasn't listening. Zack was getting a box of watercoloured pencils out of his bag. He gave it to Lucy. He said, "My mum doesn't use these anymore." Zack tried to ask Lucy to be his best friend, but Lucy wasn't listening either. They thought about it all morning. Lucy felt bad that Ibrahim didn't notice her. Ibrahim felt bad because Zack didn't notice him, and Zack felt bad because Lucy didn't notice him. Lunch was just as bad. Lucy kept trying to talk to Ibrahim. Ibrahim kept trying to talk to Zack, and Zack kept trying to talk to Lucy. By playtime, no one was talking at all. "Why all the long faces?" asked the lion. Lucy looked at Ibrahim, Ibrahim looked at Zack, and Zack looked back at Lucy. Lucy said, "Everyone has a best friend except for us." "Oh," the lion said. "Oh," the snake said. "Oh," the monkey said. All the other animals just nodded. Ibrahim and Zack nodded too. For a moment, nobody said anything. The wind blew through the big tree. Leaves fell onto the monkey, the lion, and the snake. Lucy, Ibrahim, and Zack brushed them away. You know, the lady elephant said, there are 3 of us too. Well, that's true, Lucy said. The elephants were meant to be 2 by 2, but there are 3 of them. Of course, the lion said. You don't have to be just 2 best friends. We could be 3 best friends, Lucy said. She started to smile. Zack and Ibrahim smiled too. Just then the wind blew very hard. Many more leaves fell down into the paving stones. Then rain began to fall as well. Inside, everyone, called Mrs. McAfee. Hurry! Once they were in the classroom, Mrs. McAfee came over to where they stood. I suppose you 3 want to sit together too, she said. Please, Mrs. McAfee, they said at the same time. She showed them to a new table by the window. They went to move their things. Outdoors, the paving stone animals were washing away, but only Mrs. McPhee noticed. Lucy, Ibrahim and Zack were too busy talking.